going live. It's preparing to live stream, so maybe we'll be live in 3, 2, 1, -1, -2. Oh, there we go. Oh, it really did start going live since I started saying going live. So when Zoom is telling you that it's preparing for live stream, that's a lie. It's already live streaming. So that's something that's the first takeaway right there. Be prepared, get started, say your opening stuff, maybe start with music if you're using Zoom to live stream through YouTube. Be aware that those first moments, which are critical live streaming moments, where you're going to either lose people right away or hopefully get them hooked for the full worship session, devotional, whatever it is that you're live streaming. Even though as the presenter you'll get a message saying that YouTube is preparing to live stream, you're already on, you're already live. So keep that in mind and make sure that your first moments of live streaming are interesting. Okay, so first thing to note, next week I will not be hosting a Tuesday talk. I will be on vacation, yay! And hopefully some of you also, or most of you, will get a chance to take some time off. Last week and this week, if you are joining me and didn't receive an email from me, thank you for trying it out. Something's going on with our database, our bulk email sender, and so I'm going to have to figure that one out so we're all set to go in 2 weeks. Yeah, there's that. So I sent you guys the link to the recording from last week because we did have a Tuesday talk. It's just you didn't get the email invitation for it. This week, the two main things that I wanted to talk about are a while back ago. Let me see if I can get my information. And actually, maybe Carla. No, I think it would have been Lori that knows about it. So a while back ago, there was an event that was led by New and Vital Faith, and there was a guest speaker. His name, let's see here. The staff person assigned is Dave McPherson, and the guy that was leading it, let me see if I've got my notes on that. Let's see here, countdown message, New and Vital Faith event. What is the guy's name? I'm going to find out, but it was about, it focused on live streaming, doing church online, doing the hybrid of online and in person, and part of it, I mean, there was a lot of great tools and tips to have been learned from watching that first webinar. So now they're going to do a part 2. And so every week that I start sending Tuesday talks, I'm going to include a countdown message to remind you guys about it. And I will have a link where you can find information and register. The thing is, the event, this part 2 event, isn't going to happen until January 27th at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Even if you guys didn't attend the first session, when you register for the second session, you'll get a link to be able to watch the first session for free. And we're down to like sometime in November here, the link is going to go down for people that attended the first session could have gone back and watched the recording. And so if you attended the first session and wanted a refresher, the link will go down in, I think, like in another week or so. But if you register for the second session, you'll have another 30 days of access to that first video recording. That's what I was trying to get at. So anybody that registers, whether you attended the first one or not, you'll get 30 days access to watch that first session. The second session is going to expand on some of the stuff that was covered in the first session. It's all about how to do both online and in-person worship. Some of it was about combating that fatigue and how to overcome some of the struggles. I haven't watched it. I don't know all the details. I just heard about it. It sounds pretty exciting. And it's also something, if you're wondering, like, well, who should attend? Is it just the pastor? Is it just you communicator? No, it would be the pastor, the tech people, the musicians, maybe the worship team, you as the communicator, if you're a part of that, you should plan on attending this event. Even if you guys are not at the point where you're ready to do both online and in person together, there's going to be some really, really good information to be shared. This guy, which I don't remember his name, I'm so sorry, but I'll include it in the wrap-up email. He's got a pretty big following. He's a big deal, and so we're lucky to have him talking to our churches, and especially at no cost to any of the participants. So don't be worried about like, oh, well, if we can only have 2 people from our church. No, there's no limit. Anybody that wants to register can attend, and there is 0 cost. And like I said, every single person that registers from the Desert Southwest Conference will have 30 days access to that first recording. So who knows what you might learn, even if you already are doing both online and in person. There might be some really good tips in there. And yeah, so I can't encourage you strong enough to spread the word. Tell your pastor about it. There will be an article coming out about it in the December newsletter. But I really wanted to bring this to you guys now so you know, so you're looking for it. And like I said, I'll send you guys links, and I will have a countdown, because this might not be the best time to talk about it with your pastor. They might be, or your worship team. Everybody might be like in high anxiety mode right now as we're getting closer to the to Christmas and all the special services. So you've got some time, but I'll just keep reminding you every week. And pastors are getting it too, so it's not like they won't have not heard about it. But this is a busy season, and I don't need to tell you all that we're all getting a lot of emails right now and can't focus 100% on our emails. So it's helpful to just talk about it. If you have a staff meeting, if you just see the pastor down the hall, or you have a one-on-one Zoom meeting, just ask them about it. Have you heard about that? I heard that, and just share with them what I told you about the recording being available, and that there's a part 2 session and it's free, and all the different people that should participate. Okay, the other part that first of all, are there any questions about that? Good, okay. Let's see, the other piece that I was wanting to talk to you guys about, where did I put that? Does anybody remember what my second item was? I think it was about the Communication Liaison. Yes. So for some of you, Charge Conference is done. For some of you, Charge Conference is coming up, and maybe even pretty soon, could even be this week. So your forms that you filled out, one of the things that I asked for was a church communicator position. I don't remember the exact wording, and maybe Carla remembers what the official title is. It may be just communications person or something like that. You will be, I know that it's not called the Communication Liaison, but they both are really the same thing. And what I wanted to talk about was just to make sure that you guys understand who should be listed on there. I don't know if you remember, I've mentioned before, I used to work at a local church, and I'm good friends with other people that work at a local church. And so I'm aware of how sometimes it may seem like filling out the church conference forms, some of those things might seem like, this is such a waste of time. I mean, who even uses this information? Why is this necessary? The conference knows how to contact us, or we know how to contact whatever, kind of seems like that sometimes. And at some churches, some of those officer listings might be filled out like, just put the church secretary for all those. It's fine. It's okay. Or, well, we don't have staff, so I guess I'll just put the pastor for everything, or the lay leader for everything, or, however it works out. What I wanted to do is focus specifically on the communication liaison position. It doesn't have to be, I get it, it works different in different churches. And big churches, you might have a full staff, a communications director even, or a marketing person. In a medium-sized church, you might have some staff and probably the office manager or someone that works in the church office definitely has a lot of communications work to do, managing social media, maybe editing videos or whatever. And you might have some volunteers that help with social media or the worship tech stuff. In a smaller church, maybe you've got 10 or 12 members, and so there is no volunteers like that. It's the pastor, kind of a one-person show. In each of those scenarios, there's a different answer for who the communication liaison might be, and it's never really supposed to be extra work for the pastor. I'll start out with the small church scenario. This could be a great leadership development opportunity, and I'm open to meeting with your church or with the pastor or whoever one-on-one to talk about how that can happen. We can do some mentoring. That it can be a valuable position for the communication liaison person, and definitely it's going to be of value to the church and to the pastor, because then there's someone that's kind of helping manage all these communications and looking for the resources, somebody else that might have the insight on, oh yeah, there's a resource available for that, or oh, I heard that's coming down the road. We're looking for a sermon series. Oh, the conference is going to be publishing blah blah blah. You guys have seen this kind of stuff that comes out from the conference office or the district office for that matter, and the pastors see it too, but there's so much that they're having to juggle that it would be great to have a partner, somebody else that is already thinking about the communication strategy. Maybe it's not necessarily utilizing what the conference is doing. Maybe it's just all about the church, like with the survey that we just published. A communication liaison could help get that information from the survey results, because every church can get a copy of the survey if they request it. It's a lot of work to send it to every single church, so I wasn't planning on doing that unless the church asks for it. We can rethink that, revisit it, but so this communication liaison could get results from that survey to help strategize with the pastor or whoever on what's something else we could be doing to reach more people, because our church is so small. We can call the 10 people in our membership. So what else can we do with this information? Where should we be focusing our efforts, especially when we have limited amount of people, limited amount of time and money? What can we do to improve our communications, get the word out there, build our membership, and increase attendance and participation? So that's kind of the way it could work at the small church. In the medium-sized church where you have someone doing communications, I'd love to talk to you guys about that as well. It's not really supposed to be more work for a person. Depending on the scenario, it's so unique to every church. It may be that, yes, the office manager or whoever it is that's managing all, doing the newsletter, doing the social media, all that, it would be beneficial for that person to have that information. And in those cases, I feel like that one and the large church, it's basically like doing this Tuesday talk with you guys. It's just helping to explain how, or helping to understand that as you receive the information, what do you do with it next? Because you're not the pastor, you're not the worship leader, so what do you do with that information next? How can you best receive that information and pass it to the right people at the right time? How can you make it accessible so that the people that do need the information would know to look wherever? That type of thing. I want us to do some work, some brainstorming on, because I don't know the situation for every church. I can guess, but that's not really effective. I'd rather be working on real case scenarios, and we can create models for different churches to work off of or see an example and get their own ideas of Oh, so that's a great way for us to use a communication liaison. Again, I really see this as a leadership development opportunity. I'm pretty sure that it doesn't matter if it's a small church or a ginormous church. We often see the same 10 people, leading a project, volunteering for whatever. So this would be a great way to reach out to someone new, someone maybe whether it's a young person or person of a different ethnic background. Ideally, it's somebody, I'm thinking it would be great to have someone brand new that can learn some new skills, potentially increase their passion for church ministries, their relationship with Christ, and the idea of inspiring others to form a relationship with Christ. Like, how can that happen when we're talking about communications? How can that happen when we're talking about how to live stream or, resources available for greater communication? It can, partly because of the relationships that are going to be happening with you, with me, with the pastor. That new person will start, that's, from my understanding, that's a really great way to create new disciples, and definitely a great way to mentor others, to help people feel more confident in themselves and their own skills, find value and worth as an individual, and within the church community. Like, people are going to be excited about that, and who knows what kind of new ideas that communication liaison might bring. I'm not saying don't have somebody that already does communications be the communication liaison. If that works for you guys, awesome. Don't mess up a good thing. But if it seems like a stressful thing, if it seems like more work when you already are wearing so many different hats and have to manage so much, here's one more thing. Now you also have to channel all this communication or create some kind of repository, or what the heck am I asking of you? In those cases, that's where I'm saying let's have a meeting, let's talk about it, and figure out how we can tackle this, because the whole goal is to improve communications, and that's not just from the conference out. That's of your work that you're doing to communicate with your community, with the staff, with the volunteers in your church, with your pastor. So I don't know that anybody has it perfectly figured out, but if they do, that's yet another great reason. Let's talk about it so I can learn from your best practices and share that with other churches that may be struggling with that. So that's what I want to talk about with the liaison. You're going to see this stuff coming in your charge conference, those forms where you have to fill out officers. You should have also seen the communication liaison, kind of the job description. And I'm sharing that. I think I already sent it as an attachment to today's invitation, but many of you didn't get that email, so great. So when I fix the bulk email sending, I will include that attachment again. And I want you guys to really take a look at it, poke holes in it, ask questions. If something doesn't make sense, if you think something's missing, all of that is really valuable insight. I want that feedback. I'd love for you guys to send me emails about it. Give me a call. My cell phone number is always in the at the bottom of the email, my signature line. And for those of you that are watching online and maybe haven't been paying attention to the emails, you can, well, when you do get the next email, or check one of the old emails, search for Tuesday Talks. You'll see there's a link for the Tuesday Talks playlist. If you're looking for other information that we shared, I'm going to do a better job of organizing them, but every one of the videos, in the video description, you can see everything that's talked about in that video. So what I'm going to do to help improve that piece is I'm going to rename them and change the thumbnail so that you can at a glance have a better idea of which is the video where churches were sharing about Advent ideas, which is the video where churches were talking about Easter stuff. hopefully that'll make it easier for you guys. I know I'm starting to move into a different direction, but that's just where my brain was going. And with that, I also wanted to mention that part of doing this stuff, yes, it's to improve communications amongst all of us, but it's also a way to practice best practices, to kind of model what we're learning, that this is a way to increase engagement, to increase viewership. I'm going to change the way I've been doing my Tuesday talks, like I said, changing the thumbnails, changing the title so it's easier to figure out what it is, what is where. That's something that our churches can and should be doing with your worship videos, with your prayer or devotional videos, anything, your performances. That's one of the ways, yes, you want people to attend live right now as you're live streaming, but a lot of people might stumble upon your live stream or looking for something else, and they catch something that's of interest. The way you're going to keep them coming back, or at least thinking about maybe coming back, is if they can go back to your channel and find interesting things. So instead of, I'm not saying scripture is not interesting, but I know if I wasn't looking for a sermon on this scripture or a sermon that's titled blah, 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 I might be interested more in finding something that resonates with me. And so that's where we have to appeal to the human nature. We are all struggling with something. We're all hoping for something. We're all trying to find meaning and purpose in our lives. And those would all be great things, like to really examine that service that just streamed, that's on whatever scripture. Maybe the title is a question. Have you wondered about and the sermon answers it. I've seen a lot of church newsletters where you guys do a great job of advertising sermon series or a specific event where you are really diving into that emotional piece that would interest people in attending, that internal turmoil, the struggle. That's the kind of stuff that gets people engaged, that gets people curious. And, it's almost like, oh, this is speaking to me directly. Like, I've been waking up thinking about this, or as I have my morning coffee, I've been contemplating, how can I, whatever, I'm struggling with whatever. So that's just a recommendation for today. Think about it. How can you improve your YouTube channel, make it more interesting and engaging? Think about the stuff that you're struggling with. Think about the things that your best friend is struggling with, your parents, your siblings, your spouse, your children. So think about the different audiences. How can you make it more attractive? So maybe your YouTube channel answers or is restructured with questions and maybe topical type of organization instead of just most recent to oldest. Maybe you've got playlists of sermons that deal with depression, sermons that deal with family crisis, sermons that deal with economic inequality, racial injustice, whatever, or sermons filled with hope and inspiration. Things like that, you could group them that way. But then when you share them on social media, think about your audiences and the different channels that you're sharing it, and who it is that you want to target specifically. So, and then think about that specific person that fits that demographic and how you would just, in a conversation with that individual, tell them about this worship service. So if you can match your language to a specific person that is that target demographic, you're much more likely to hit your mark and get others like them interested in checking it out. And remember, make sure those first few minutes are engaging. I have seen, sadly, we do have a lot of live streaming where the first few minutes people are still preparing, and it's like you're not really paying attention that you're live streaming. that's a surefire way to lose viewers. And you're probably not going to lose your members because they know they're there to watch worship. But if you sent it out through social media to get new people to watch, then you're likely to lose them that way. So think about talk to your worship team and think about how you can have something engaging so that as soon as you start live streaming, even if you're not 100% ready, there's something interesting showing. Maybe it's your announcement slides, a countdown with when it's going to start. Maybe music starts to build up for the live stream so it's not distracting for the in-person people. Those are just some ideas. If you're thinking, wow, these are some things that we hadn't thought about, or gosh, I'd love to talk more about this, you definitely need to be going to that event that's happening in January with the guy that I don't remember what his name is. But I'll send you guys more information. Wouldn't it be sneaky if I was really doing it that way to build your curiosity by not sharing his name so that now you're looking for that follow-up email to see what is that guy's name? That would be kind of sneaky and a little bit ingenious, wouldn't it? I wish that that's what I had done intentionally. But that's a great idea. It's something that we could all be thinking about learning from articles or title stuff that you send out in your emails. Don't give it all away. You could talk about the event that's coming up and focus on who's going to benefit from that, and say, wouldn't it be great to attend something, to attend blah blah, or wouldn't it be great if just attending an event could make a big difference? And then some brief description about the event or whatever, just throwing out some ideas. Anyway, is there anything you guys want to share? Any questions or comments you have? You're good? I hope that you will get to have some time off. It's desperately needed. Focus some time with your friends and family, whoever, loved ones, neighbors, that will replenish your soul and give you some breathing space because even though you work for the church, you're in your own ministry, we've said it before, it's so vitally important that you take some time to value your own health, to value your spiritual time, whatever it may be, and have some kind of a practice that you could do during your time off where you have an opportunity to meditate on your life, things that are not going well at work, whatever, and what can you do to make it better? What could you stop doing to make it better? If you are very much like me and you might work through your breaks, you might work through lunch, that's an easy one to think about. Obviously you should not be doing that. Obviously you need to take time to just take a break. Don't be checking your emails while you're having lunch. We've got to disconnect. So I hope that you do get that time for rest and renewal, and know that even though people don't always share it on a daily basis, you are so valuable, so appreciated for the work that you do. I appreciate you guys for coming to Tuesday Talks, the insights that you share, your questions, your thoughts via email or during these Tuesday Talks. I've learned a lot just from participating in this stuff, and I hope it's been valuable for you too. So it's 10:31. I'm going to try to figure out this bulk email issue. And I will see you guys not next week, but the week after that, which I believe is November 30th.